Hi, I'm HME News Executive Editor Mike Moran. I'm here today with Wallace Weeks, industry consultant and the president of the Weeks Group. And Wallace, you've been looking at length of service recently and how that can affect the company's profitability. And I always thought that that wasn't something providers had control over it. So explain a little bit about this.
Well, a lot of providers think that length of service is what we get.
Right.
It just comes with the patients that are referred to us. And if we don't manage it, it works out exactly that way. But length of service can be managed, and it can be managed for every recurring revenue product line that we have. The manufacturers that are here today, for example, to give it a comparison, they think about the lifetime value of a customer. Well, if we've got a oxygen patient that has, one patient has a 12-month length of service and another has a 24-month length of service, the lifetime value of the 24-month patient is greater than the one with 12, and that applies again across all of the recurring revenue product lines that we have. So the way that providers can manage the length of service is through their marketing. It's purely a marketing function to manage the length of service. That marketing function has to begin, like other marketing, with research, and it's pretty much focused on internal research, mining our own data to find out what the characteristics of our longer length of service patients are, and then finding the characteristics of the referral sources that send them to us. Once we have got that research in place, we can adjust our marketing strategy. And once we've got the marketing strategy, we may need to adjust the message.
So you get a patient, you look at your data, you find, okay, these specific patients are typically fit the profile of a long-term service patient, more or less. And the people, and here are the providers, here are the referral sources who have been referring these patients. So you put the two to two together and you craft the message.
Right. And so then when we craft a message, rather than going and telling a referral source, we're a very high quality provider, we take real good care of our patients, and we hope you'll send your patients to us if they need some durable medical equipment or other supplies. Well, that's a very general message, and the referral source is not going to be able to easily discern from that what a great referral is or a lesser value referral is for us. So by restating the message and maybe the collateral and maybe even the compensation for our sales and marketing reps, by restating the message to something like, if, for example, an oxygen patient, maybe the message needs to be, we do a really great job helping those patients that you might have that heard COPD for the first time yesterday, and now they're going to start experiencing something new in their life with a concentrator and all of the care issues that are associated with it. We have a really great team that's focused on getting those people compliant and into this new phase of their life. And by then associating the company with the disease state that might produce a more profitable referral, then the doc might think of us as the provider as, okay, this guy's new to it. I want to give them to the people that really are going to coach them through this new phase in their life. And it's that kind of way that we manage it with our marketing. But we have to ask the right physician for that too. The person that heard COPD for the first time yesterday probably isn't coming from the pulmonologist office or the discharge planner at the hospital. Those folks have already had to probably deal with their respiratory disease for some time. Yet, and they probably are going to be a more time-consuming customer, as well as one that has a shorter length of service than the person who is just now being diagnosed.
Right. That's interesting, and you could do that with all your whether it's a diabetic patient who needs the lancets and the strips, or respiratory, like you said, these reoccurring revenue streams, it's where you would want to focus your attention. Not that you want to not treat the folks who are further along in their disease state, but it certainly makes sense to focus on, to try to build a longer census of longer term patients.
Yeah, think of take diabetic test strips. Maybe one company has a patient census that has an average of, say, 16 months average length of service. The next company has a 24-month average length of service. If each company were getting one referral a day, 22 referrals a month, they're both taking in 264 new patients a year. But the company with a 16-month length of service loses those first 22, in a simple term, loses the first 22 at the end of month 17, and another 22 at the end of month 18. While the company with the longer length of service is still servicing those that came on in month number 1 and keeps on going. At the end of
It's like
3 years,
interest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of 3 years, the company with the longer length of service will be generating about 50% more revenue from their patient base than the one with a 16-month length of service.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's significant. Do you see many providers doing this?
We are now having a few. It's one of the things that Weeks Group has been doing now. When we started measuring length of service as a part of the activity-based costing, in order to apply the activity-based costs to the product, which is what we've advocated for quite a few years now, one of the things that you have to do is to know the length of service. And so when we got into the length of service calculations and in order to apply to the product costs, we also started seeing how incredibly length of service affects revenue growth, how it affects productivity, and how it affects the expenses and thereby the profitability of the client company. So we sat down then and figured out how to manage it. And so those clients of ours who have worked with us in some extensive costing and strategy moves, we have moved into this management, and there are providers having success with it.
You know, it's just, this is one more of those things that providers have to do these days, because to be smarter, and like you said, if the example you gave, if you're going to be 50% more profitable, that certainly goes a long way to offsetting the 9.5% cut, you know, the auction cap, all this stuff.
And those are exactly the things that we've got to do in order to find the profitability that we're ultimately going to give up for competitive bidding or other ways that our reimbursements are shrinking. So
yeah, no, it's great then. Well, Wallace, thanks a lot. That was fascinating.
Thank you.
Okay.